Saint Francis was born in 1191 in the town of Assisi, Italy. He was born into a wealthy family because his father was a rich cloth merchant. Growing up, he was very much loved and well liked by all for his happy and charming demeanor as a natural-born leader. After Francis left Assisi to pursue his dreams of glory as a knight, he grew ill after one day of riding to the battlegrounds. Then the Lord came to him in a dream and told him to return home, that he was not leading the life he was meant to. Once home, Francis began his conversion experience, repenting and doing good deeds in the name of the Lord. One day, while he was praying in the ancient church San Damiano, Francis heard the Lord's voice say, "Go, Francis, and repair my church, which as you see is falling into ruin." Francis took this message literally and decided to make it his mission to rebuild the church of San Damiano. From then on, Francis gave up all of his belongings, renouncing his wealth and wearing nothing but a coarse brown cloak and a hood with a knotted cord about his waist. He wanted to live by the gospel, living off only what the Lord provided him. When Francis had rebuilt San Damiano to its entirety, he realized that God wanted him to rebuild the church, not the building, but the institution. It was a time when heresies flourished and scandal and avarice broke down the inside of the church. So Francis went traveling about, preaching to whomever he could about the message God brought to him. Slowly, he started gaining followers who wanted to join and lead the same life he did. Francis never meant to form a religious order, but it happened anyway. Francis formed the first mendicant order of lay people. They became known as the Franciscan friars, who were much different than the Benedictine monks at the time. Their survival relied solely on God and whatever his people gave to them in almsgiving. There were not only men who followed Francis, but also women, the first of whom was Clare, who was born out of nobility and expected to marry to carry on the family name. One day, when Clare had Francis preaching, she felt immediately that she needed to do something greater with her life, so she ran from home at her age of 18 to join and follow Francis. When she joined Francis, she traded in her rich dress for the same rough tunic Francis wore, and a thick veil. Following Clare were other women who wanted to follow Francis and serve the Lord through his way as well. When Francis was able to secure them all a place in San Damiano, a new order was born, known as the Order of the Poor Ladies, which did not come to be known as the Order of the Poor Clares until after St. Clare's death in 1253. These women lived the same simplistic and holy life of the Franciscan monks. Like the Franciscans, they wore brown habits with knotted cords around their waists, and also owned nothing, surviving solely on alms. They had complete faith that God would always provide for them. In the year 1219, Clare courageously resisted the orders of Cardinal Ugolino, whose so-called reform threatened the core values of the mendicant order's simple way of life. Through her reasoning and work, she was able to convince the cardinal of the wrong he would have done. By doing so, St. Clare was able to preserve the way and order of the mendicant life. The cardinal was so inspired by Clare that even after he became Pope Gregory IX, he still had great admiration for her. On August 11th, 1253, St. Clare died 27 years after St. Francis, who died on October 3rd, 1226. 2 years after St. Francis's death, he was canonized by his and St. Clare's good friend Pope Gregory IX. He is the patron saint of animals and the environment. St. Clare was also canonized 2 years after her death, in the year 1255, by Pope Alexander IV. She is the patron saint of embroidery, sore eyes, and television. After the canonization of both saints, separate basilicas were built in Assisi in their honor. The Basilica of St. Francis, which was completed in 1253, houses the body of St. Francis in the secret room of the lower basilica. The Basilica of St. Clare, completed in 1260, now houses her skeletal remains in a depiction of her body in a glass tomb behind bars in the crypt attached to the basilica. Today, there are still many active Franciscan friars and Poor Clares all around the world, living the simple, devoutful life of St. Francis and of St. Clare of Assisi.